Look who's back. It's Carbon Funnel, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Christ. No, I haven't. Thanks. So, what do people think of when they hear the name Need for Speed? Most Wanted? Underground? Underground 2? Hot Pursuit 2 maybe for the absolute purists. Yeah, but we're not going to talk about those games. Come on, you know me, you know this channel. We are here to talk about something that was underappreciated. So, today we'll talk about a game that very few people speak of when they discuss about the Need for Speed franchise. So, let's take a look at Need for Speed The Run, which was released in November 2011. Let's do this. Let's talk history first. Need for Speed games, all the way from Hot Pursuit 2 to The Run, were developed by EA Black Box, or Black Box Games, before it was acquired by EA in June 2002. So yes, this is the same studio that brought you your favorite Need for Speed titles like Underground, Underground 2 and Most Wanted. There are a couple of exceptions in between. Hot Pursuit from 2010 was developed by Criterion Games, while Shift and Shift 2 Unleashed were developed by Slightly Mad Studios. EA had a habit of pumping out one Need for Speed game every year until 2013. Look, people associate Need for Speed with street racing and police chases, etc., but this habit of pumping out one game per year led to them asking their developers to experiment with new themes, which might be a good thing sometimes, but it also diverted the series' focus from what it was best known for, and it also in some shape or form led to the downfall of the quality of games. Black Box is associated mostly with the Need for Speed games, but they also worked on other titles like the NHL series from 2000 to 2004 and the Skate series from 2007 to 2010. Post Carbon, the series' shift from street racing really started to show. EA released Need for Speed Pro Street in 2007, again developed by Black Box, which tried to be a racing simulator with arcade-like controls, and it ended up being really goofy, so much so that even a hardcore series purist like me ended up disliking. Oh, it's bad. It really is. Both EA and Black Box then decided to go back to the arcade racing style of the previous games, this time adding some more action-based elements to it, which resulted in 2008's Need for Speed Undercover. The game was better than Pro Street in every aspect, but was also basically an inferior version of Most Wanted. Seriously, try checking both the games side by side and you will find them to be in a similar vein, but Most Wanted has a really strong point that resonated with the gamers, which Undercover didn't have. That was a good storyline. For the next installment in the series, EA wanted Black Box to continue with the more action-oriented arcade racing style, but to have some new elements added to it. The development window was also extended to let Black Box design something that could be really groundbreaking. Furthermore, Black Box opted to use the Frostbite 2 engine, which was developed by DICE and used in Battlefield 3. Black Box spent close to a year trying to understand the ins and outs of the Frostbite 2 engine while assisting DICE in the development of Battlefield 3, and then repurposing the engine for a racing game. The game was originally set to be revealed at E3 2011, however, in April that year, a listing for the game appeared on the website of a UK-based retailer, so EA decided to officially release the teaser trailer for it. EA Games label president Frank Gibault stated that Need for Speed The Run would offer an edgier experience than previous entries in the racing series. Black Box stated that Frostbite 2 engine allowed the game to look visually stunning, stating that Frostbite 2 was not only the best engine it had used in a racing game to date, but the most versatile too, and I definitely can't argue. Crank up the graphical settings to a maximum and you'll agree with that statement. The game still looks stunning to this day. You play as a street racer named Jack Rauch. The game begins in Oakland, where you're about to be crushed inside your Porsche 911 Carrera 4S in a scrapyard after you're unable to repay a massive debt to the mob. They crushed a 911 Carrera. Now which mob, you ask? No, the game doesn't specify that. It's just the mob. Sorry, mob guys. So you narrowly miss being crushed in the scrapyard and escape in an Audi RS4, which you steal from one of the mobsters. Angry that you have escaped, and also that you've stolen one of their rides, the mobsters chase you down for a very short while until you manage to escape by crossing a speeding train before them. Heading to San Francisco, you contact Sam Harper, a friend and fixer in a restaurant. Consider her like your manager. She arranges your entries into street races, so she offers to help you deal with the mob, but only on one condition. You must enter an illegal large-scale street race from San Francisco to New York City, for which she will front the entry fee, but you need to win the race's purse of $25 million for her, with you getting a 10% of that. You agree to her condition and you receive a tablet device from the race's mysterious organizer that details the race's route. GPS, my friends! 4 hours later, you start your journey by choosing any one of these rides for the first leg of the race. A BMW M3 GTS, a Nissan Fairlady 240Z, or a Shelby GT500 Super Snake. If you happen to own a limited edition copy of the game, which you can't now, duh, you get a couple of more options as well. A Chevy Camaro ZL1 and a Porsche 911 Carrera S. But since we are all peasants and get to choose between only 3 cars, I chose the Shelby GT500 Super Snake. If only Shelby could make a special edition of the GT500 for us and call it Solid Snake. Sorry, I got a bit carried away. So, thus begins your wonderful journey in the run. Like I said earlier, the game still looks visually stunning. The driving mechanics are surprisingly not as arcadish like other entries in the franchise. They are exactly on point. A rear-wheel drive car loves to go sideways on a turn without you hitting a handbrake. Front-wheel drive cars don't drift easily, and all-wheel drive cars handle best off-road or on snowy terrains. There are some cool little touches as well. When you're driving in Colorado, the roads are covered with snow, but some parts of the road are covered with ice and you see those parts shining under sunlight. Those aren't just meant for aesthetics though. If you brake hard or try making a hard turn on those, your car will swerve around, which is how it's supposed to happen IRL. So for a stage like Colorado, I'll highly suggest you going with an all-wheel drive car like a Nissan GTR. Speaking of Colorado, it has the best race in the game and my favorite of all time in any racing game. I'll have the gameplay for that race posted as a separate video later on. When you crash your car or go completely off the road in a race, the game automatically respawns you on the most recent checkpoint which you've crossed. You have 5 respawns or resets in most races which you can use manually too if you didn't like a turn you made or swerved pretty bad. Yikes, that truck came out of nowhere. If only I had a way to make this even better.
Watch out, watch out, watch out! お前はもう死んでいる。何?
That's better. As you progress through the races, you earn XPs and level up, and with each level up, you unlock additional perks. For example, you unlock Nitrous at level 2. Yes, you don't have Nitrous to outrun the mobsters in the initial chase in the game. You only get it once you finish the chase and start your actual journey in San Francisco. You also get to unlock profile icons, profile backgrounds, and new cars with every level up. With each stage being cleared, you unlock the same stages as a location in the challenge series, which are additional races you get to compete in once you finish the campaign to keep progressing and unlocking stuff. Woohoo! British Racing Green, baby! The challenge series is equal parts fun, equal parts frustrating. You're given certain time goals to break to achieve a medal in the races that you finish. Bronze, silver, gold and platinum, all the usual blingy stuff. If you fancy just going for a bronze or silver, the challenge series will be a breeze for you, but if you're like me and obsess over getting a gold or more preferably a platinum, that's where you get frustrated. Each stage has 5 races and you have to choose the right car depending on the stage you're going into. Braking is also an important factor that comes into play. If you're looking to get a gold or platinum, then you shouldn't really brake. You can decelerate, but if you brake, you'll miss the target by mere milliseconds, and that's where the challenge comes in. You also can't crash into something. As an example, take the coastal hills of San Francisco. Its tracks are either filled with turns or dense traffic, so you can't go choosing a rear-wheel drive car like a Ford Mustang Boss 302 if you're eyeing a gold or platinum. As long as you're given an option, you need to choose something that doesn't oversteer or drift, like a front-wheel drive car like a Volkswagen Scirocco R. EA did some really heavy marketing for this game. Even Michael Bay, yeah, that bad Transformers movies guy, he directed a TV ad for this. But the game was met with mixed reactions by the critics, and I kind of understand the point why. It's not just relegated to a single point, there are multiple factors associated with it. The reason why I talked about Need for Speed Most Wanted in the early part of this video is because people tend to compare its storyline with other entries in the franchise. Now yes, the acting in the cutscenes was a bit hammy by today's standards, but the way the story was put forward resonated so much with the audience. Most Wanted has you going up against Razor. You were constantly reminded of Razor's actions from the start of the game, and you couldn't wait to dethrone him and reclaim both your position as the king of the hill and your ride, the legendary BMW E46 M3 GTR. This game, in contrast, didn't have a strong story or even a strong antagonist for you to go against. You do have a villain in the story, Marcus Blackwell, who happens to be the nephew of the head of the mob. He drives an Aston Martin 177 in the game, and his only ambition is to take you out for good. His intentions are never really made clearer, and you're never reminded of him being the bad guy. Hell, even your backstory isn't reflected upon in a way it should really be. Other characters in the game are also poorly written. Sam reminds you of Mia from Most Wanted. She has her own motives but is trying to help you win the run, but she doesn't quite get to connect with the players. The AI is pretty bad too, particularly with respect to the cops. They aren't even a slight bit of a challenge. All of this combined, and you have a total runtime of just over 4 hours for the story mode, even with a few resets. Add in around 2 hours from the challenge series, and you could finish the complete game in just over 6 hours. For comparison, Most Wanted story alone could be completed in around 18 to 19 hours. A huge omission from the game was the option to play single races or custom races. You either play the story or you go with the challenge series. Also, there are no in-depth car customization options. You only get to choose at least 3 style kits for most of the cars with a few color options. No auto sculpt for you, mate. Fans also didn't appreciate the addition of quick time events in the game. Yeah, they pop up only on 3 occasions, once at the beginning of the game, then right around the middle when you try escaping from the cops in Las Vegas, and then during a second chase with both the mobs and the police in Chicago, but they are there, and QTEs have been annoying gamers since Resident Evil 4. Something that not everyone might dislike, but this is more like my personal taste. You can't play multiplayer on this anymore. The game just doesn't connect to autolog. That might not be a deal breaker for many, but if you can't play and beat autolog recommendations, you can't unlock some really cool cars in this game. Now, granted, there are multiple variants of a single car in this game. For example, you have 2 different Nissan GTR Spec Vs. One is a standard version with 485 horsepower, while the other is an NFS edition specifically tuned for 957 horsepower. Both of these could be unlocked, no big deal, else you have a standard GTR to go with, but some cars, like the Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR and the Toyota Corolla GTS AE86, could only be unlocked by means of playing multiplayer. Now, I am talking specifically about the PC, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 versions of the game. Nintendo Wii and 3DS got their own versions of this game, which were developed by Firebrand Games. They have a totally different story, and ironically, they were even worse, so we're skipping on those. All these issues led to the game underperforming, with it being the last Need for Speed game developed by Black Box before ultimately closing in 2013. So is this a bad game? No. Even after pointing out all its shortcomings, I don't think it's as bad as it sounds like. Yes, it has a really short and underwhelming story. You can complete the entire game in one go, and then there's no multiplayer. But it is worth a one-time shot. Only on one condition though. Now you can buy this game online for PC on EA's Origin store at a standard price of Rs $9.99 or around 10 US. Don't buy this at that price, it's not worth spending that much. But it pops up every now and then in sale at a price of Rs 250 or 4.99 US. That is the price you'd want to pay for this game. The most recent sale happened last week, so if you find another sale running on Origin, or if you own a PlayStation or Xbox console and find a used physical copy of this game for the same price and you want to try this game, sure, go for it. That's it for this episode of Let's Revisit. I'll be back with another episode later. If you liked what you've seen, please consider to like, share, subscribe and get notified when I publish a new video. While you're there, let me know in the comments which game you want me to revisit for an upcoming video. Thank you for watching. Here's Copy Inferno, signing off.